What's up, Internet? Welcome to Once Over. I'm Kaylee, and today we're going to be giving the once over to Hard Candy.
And here I put in a little smiley face icon.
There will be spoilers.
Give it a good once over.
Giving us the once over.
Giving him the once over.
Give me a once over.
Down to give us the once over.
For a routine once over.
Once over.
Oh, just once over lightly.
Yeesh. Okay, alright.
alright.
Hard Candy came out in 2005 and it was directed by David Slade. It is a gripping psychological thriller starring Elliot Page, who at the time was Ellen Page, as a teenage girl who meets up with a much older photographer named Jeff, who's played by Patrick Wilson. The way that I discovered this movie is that my parents were not really big film people, but my dad owned 2 DVDs. And so in probably late 2005, early 2006 maybe, those 2 DVDs were Hard Candy and Spun. Why did my parents have Hard Candy and Spun? I have no idea. Those are 2 oddball movies that I would not expect my non-film loving parents to have, but they did.
Talk about El Weirdo.
So I knew nothing about this film going into it, but I ended up watching it, complete cold watch, and I loved it. Something that's hugely unique is that Paige and Wilson are pretty much the only characters in the film. Sandra Oh does have a brief appearance as a neighbor.
Oh, hello.
And there is a coffee shop worker.
Okay, greedy.
And we see moments of one of Jeff's previous love interests.
Jeff?
But the movie is entirely reliant on the performances of Paige and Wilson as Haley and Jeff. We also have very few locations in this film, and to create such an intense psychological thriller with very few actors and very few locations is a feat. This movie is not an easy watch, and it dives into manipulation on multiple levels as it asks the question, what if the person that you expect to be the predator is not actually who the predator is? The movie starts out with Haley, aka Thong Girl 14, and Jeff, aka Lensman 319, making plans to meet up on a chat site. As I mentioned, the movie came out in 2005, so chat rooms were still popular, but they were kind of fizzling and being replaced by things like MySpace and the brand new Facebook. The authenticity of these chat room scenes really hits me hard because as a young girl, I was all up in these chat rooms, so it felt very familiar. When you're starting out a movie that dives into hard topics with authenticity, it makes the following events that much more challenging to watch. The 2 decide to meet up at a coffee shop, and we don't entirely know either character's motivation, but the obvious implication is that Jeff is grooming Haley, or he has plans that might even be worse than that. During these coffee shop interactions, Haley seems very wooed by Jeff, and she actually teases him a fair amount.
Plus, they wouldn't hit on a 14-year-old girl. They're like old enough to be my dad. So.
We learn that she's wise beyond her years, a point that he acknowledges while seeming to be excited about the fact that she's only 14.
No, I get it.
She convinces Jeff to bring her back to his place, and even though he seems a little creepy, she seems to be the one that's in the driver's seat. The camera work is as chaotic as the film becomes, but for me, that is really great. It has that kind of early 2000s vibe to it where it almost seems like somebody's just kind of moving a camera around like this, and then you get to see a little bit of what you get to see. Another thing that makes this film intensely beautiful is the coloring effects of the film. Digital colorist Jean-Clement Surette was actually credited for his work on this film in the opening credits because the work that he did was so incredible. The lighting of the film creates this really deep intensity and atmosphere. Effectively, when characters had mood shifts, for example, when Haley was angry, they edited the colors to be the lower frequencies. It's effective. But when they first arrive at Jeff's apartment, there are lots of these slow shots that kind of pull in the viewer or out the viewer a little bit as we get to see the 2 of them getting to know each other. Of course, they're having screwdrivers, a thing that a 14-year-old should not be doing.
Yeah, nice try, Narc.
Where's the narc?
As a photographer, Jeff has lots of photographs of his models all over his apartment, and Haley kind of prods at him to ask him which one of those models he's banged. He claims that it was only one, Janelle, while he was also underage, and he keeps Janelle's photographs in his bedroom while the other girls are all strewn about his house, which is a clear nod to the intimacy that Jeff and Janelle shared. Haley requests a photo shoot of her own.
Don't do that.
And things go a little bit awry. He passes out because it turns out that she spiked the screwdriver that she made him. This twist happens only 22 minutes into the film, and let me tell you, this movie is all about the climax. If you have seen this film and you are a guy, especially, you know that you are about to be grabbing your crotch.
Why do I grab my crotch?
Yeah, why?
In anguish and pain. Haley reveals that she is doing this now because she knows that his neighbors are not there, which gives her an instant sense of power. We know that this was her plan all along. This is when the moral dilemma of the film really comes into place. Just because Haley thinks that Jeff is a predator, does that mean that she should be tormenting him? She clearly thinks that it does, and she even bolsters her point that Jeff shouldn't be talking to her by stating that just because a girl is imitating a woman doesn't mean that she's ready to do what a woman does. When they created this film, I believe that there was some talk about actually having there be a reveal that Haley was in fact of age and she was pretending to be 14. I'm really glad that they didn't go that route because I think that the whole idea of a kid tormenting an adult is what makes this so effective. Something else that's really incredible about this film is that Paige was only 17 during filming. That's amazing. Paige's performance as Haley is perhaps one of the most outstanding performances that I've ever seen. This is when I fell in love with Paige as an actor. I don't mean that to discount Wilson. Wilson is also freaking amazing in this film. When we get into some of the deeper stuff, he really, I mean, you feel his pain. Haley rips apart his apartment, and again, this is where we get a lot of that chaotic camera work, where she is trying to find proof that he is a pedophile, or maybe even proof that he has a connection to a missing girl. During this ransacking, Haley finds a gun, and she also finds Jeff's safe, which has a photograph of a girl with clothing on, and asks what makes her so special. It is in fact the missing girl, so we know that Jeff does have some sort of a connection with her. But right as Haley makes this discovery, Jeff kicks her.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And he goes to get the gun. I will say that I am glad that there are no like flashbacks about the missing girl stuff, because I like that it's a little bit open-ended. We actually never, even by the end of the film, find out if Jeff truly did abduct this missing girl or anything else. She's just open-ended. We have no idea. We know Haley thinks that he did, but we don't actually know that. And something nefarious is going on. Haley subdues Jeff again, and at 50 minutes, we reach the true climax of the film. Because again, this movie's really all about the climax. Haley decides that she is going to do some preventative maintenance on Jeff in order to protect the world. That's right, boys and girls, we get the castration scene of the decade. Maybe of the century. The castration sequence is so hard to watch. It is heart-wrenching. Jeff starts trying to bargain and is telling stories to build up sympathy with Haley, but Haley just does not care about any of it.
Wow, I'm touched.
In these scenes, you can literally see his hands turning purple from the ropes that are being used to hold him down. This is because Jeff was really pushing his acting skills into reality and was actually cutting off circulation to his hands. The shots are harrowing and he is completely sweaty, and listening to him groan in pain makes you... Ugh. It's a 30-minute sequence. It's 30 minutes that he's tied down like this.
Okay.
It's effectively torture porn.
Okay, stay with me. Stay with me.
The soundtrack of this film is made up of almost entirely ambient sounds and heavy breathing, which makes, again, a lot of tension throughout. There's only actually 9 minutes of music that are used throughout this film. That makes you sit on the edge of your seat even more because everything feels so dang realistic. I feel like I'm a fly on the wall in Jeff's apartment. Let's also talk about the genitalia shots that are being shown to Jeff as Haley is castrating him. Apparently, the tape is actually loops of footage of turkey gizzards and the insides of those being scraped.
Do you want some souvenirs?
Gross. But of course, when Haley leaves, he gets up and discovers that he was not, in fact, castrated.
Bullshit artist.
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 Everything was fake. Haley was just fucking with him. He goes and finds her in the shower, but she tases him, again subduing him. She cleans up the scene. She starts like reorganizing his apartment so that it doesn't look like she was there, which again shows an awful lot of premeditation because she also calls her friend and says, oh, hey, do you want to do something? You want to hang? Gotta build that alibi. This is when Sandra Oh shows up to deliver Girl Scout cookies. Sandra clearly knows a little bit too much. Haley answers the door when she shows up, and she starts getting questioned a little bit.
I might be a little out of line here.
This is when we learn that maybe Haley didn't really cover all of her tracks. Again, she's only 14. Although the climax of the film is absolutely that castration scene, the end of the film does not leave you hanging. Oh, that was a really inappropriate joke.
Hardy har har.
Haley basically tells Jeff, you can either off yourself by stepping off this chair, or I will reveal all of your secrets. She also asks him a very valid question, which is that when you got loose, you could have run for help like an innocent person.
And you didn't.
Why? Jeff ends up breaking his bindings. And they end up on the roof. But it's a little bit too late for Jeff because Haley has already called Janelle, his OG love interest, whose photographs are in the bedroom. Haley reveals at this point that she has lied about everything. Is her name even Haley? We don't know. And she says that she's doing this because she wants revenge. She's doing it for every little girl that he ever watched, touched, screwed, or killed. Again, I guess we don't really know if he killed anybody. Something that Haley wasn't lying about is that she did actually call Janelle because she arrives and Haley encourages Jeff to kill himself while they are on the roof. Jeff talks about the missing girl and he says that he didn't kill her, but he was there when another guy killed her.
I just watched.
That guy's name is Aaron. But Haley already has the leg up on this because she says, well, I already talked with Aaron, and Aaron actually told me that you did it right before he killed himself. So this is not Haley's first time. Haley just also doesn't really care who did it.
I don't care.
She's vigilante justice, just like she was in Super.
Let's do this. Let's go get this jock fucker.
Jeff gets up and Haley puts the noose on him just before he jumps, and we get this beautiful backlit shot that I think is just one of the most stunning moments in the film. However, she does renege on her promise to get rid of all the evidence, and she just leaves.
Oh, really? Now that's too much.
Really, the film asks the question, how far can a punishment go before it becomes a moral crime itself? Should Haley be punished for what she's doing? Or because it's retaliation, should she be given a little bit of leniency? I tend to be in the camp of fuck the police, but I don't know, convincing somebody that they've been castrated and then torturing them and forcing them to off themselves. Haley, you might have gone one too far here. Maybe let the cops do their jobs? I don't even feel right saying that. Fuck. I don't know. I'm glad that we don't get Haley's backstory. I'm glad that we don't know who she's off to torture and kill next. I'm glad that she is the one who makes him take the actions because he is the person who took the actions to begin with. He's the one who's talking to a 14-year-old. He's the one who possibly has talked to other 14-year-olds. He's the one who possibly has abused some of the people that were modeling for him. I don't know. I don't have any proof. Except for the messages that we got to see in the beginning of the film when he is talking with Haley and his interactions with her. So with all that being said, I love this movie. I would give it 7 out of 7 thumbs up. I think that it is a really, really interesting character study that would not have functioned at all if it were not for the incredible performances of Paige and Wilson. But the two of them together, each of them separately, they sell the heck out of this movie. I'm afraid of both Haley and Jeff by the end. How it unravels and how everything is presented to the viewer gives you a little bit of the voyeurism that I love so very much in films. For example, Jeff being a photographer, yeah, he's a voyeur. Not only does he have a camera in between him and his subjects, but as he's talking in the chat rooms to Haley and presumably other little girls, he has a computer screen in between them as well. This is really talking about ways that technology can kind of get in our way, but also bolster the ability to create and commit crimes. I love voyeurism in films. Whenever there is somebody who is a videographer or photographer or doing anything with a camera, that's like, I'm instantly obsessed.
Don't be shy. me, it's my first time too.
I think it's because of my love of film. I like watching what's on that side of the camera. And so to get somebody as a character who is obsessed with creating that, it always creates something really interesting. Anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I can't wait for the next one.